Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Achua and I hope this video finds you well. If you are new to this place, please consider subscribing, and to all my returning subscribers, thank you so much for your support and welcome back. So this is going to be my second life after maceration video for the week. I have quite a number of that lined up, but I'll pace myself with that, bring you some other equally interesting educative videos, and probably bring one more of the life after maceration videos next week. In this video, I have 10 fragrance updates, and I'm going to start off with the one that I believe has changed the most, and this is going to be Lattafa's Anna and Glory. It's been about 10 months in my collection. What I got from this fragrance from the onset was that prominent pineapple creme brulee. I didn't get much of the spice, the turmeric, the pink pepper. I didn't really get much of it, but it was predominantly a vanilla heavy pineapple creme brulee scent to me, and that was all I could experience in the first 3 to 4 months. However, it's been a while since I reached out to use this fragrance at all, to test it out or even take it out, because I've been trying so many other things. But about a month ago, because I know I'll be doing some of these life of maceration series, I've been trying to go back to the older fragrances I have in my collection, and I got back to Lattafa's Anna and Glory, and I realized that this fragrance has totally transformed. It has become so much spicy, and I'll get the turmeric. I also get something like a slight powdery ginger feel to it. I still believe it is coming from the turmeric, but I get something like a ginger, sort of touch to it. The pink pepper is now very prominent. It has become much more spicier than creme brulee pineapple gourmand fragrance. I now find this less creamy. It's like the creamy pineapple creme brulee vibe has dialed back, and then I get a prominent turmeric, pink pepper, and the ginger. I get something like ginger, it doesn't have the notes of ginger, but I get that. I still get a realistic creme brulee though, but I feel like it is not as creamy, not as vanillic, not as that gourmand as when I initially got it. Now it is much more spicy. When this one was released, it was compared to Nichane's Annie, which I have a dupe of Machete, but I get where people are coming from when it comes to that spicy ginger aspect of Nichane's Annie. This one doesn't have the note of ginger. It has turmeric, and it gives me something like a powdery, gingery sort of spice to it. That is what I get, but I still don't feel it smells like that. Within a space of 9 months, Anna and Glory doesn't smell the same at all to me. It's like somehow like two different fragrances from when I got it till this date. It was so much creamier, so much of that pineapple creme brulee. But now, although I still get the creme brulee, I get a prominent turmeric, spicy ginger, pink pepper, feel to it much more than the creme brulee. It feels so much warmer, spicier, and peppery as compared to when I initially got it. So that is my experience, or that has been my experience with Lattafa's Anna and Glory. For people who did not get an immediate difference between Khamrah's Qawah and then the OG Khamrah, I think the difference lies in the maceration process or period. As soon as I sprayed these fragrances side by side, I could immediately get some differences, but I think a lot of people didn't. However, the process of maceration has confirmed, what I've been saying always. They are totally different. They are not even smelling alike. They smell maybe about 80% at most to me at this point. I get a floral musky vibe to Khamrah Qawah, whilst I don't get that in the OG Khamrah. I now get a high dose of ginger in this one, coupled with that smooth Qawah. The Qawah feels quite prominent now. It wasn't as much as it was when it was initially released, but currently I get a heavy dose of that spicy coffee or Qawah in this one, coupled with some white florals, and the ginger. Ginger is what separates these two, in my opinion. I get a heavy presence of ginger. It is quite smooth, it's blended beautifully. You might not really necessarily pick it up front, but after maceration, it's gotten so much intense, the ginger, coupled with that heavy spicy coffee. So to me, at this stage, after about 4, almost 5 months of having Khamrah Qawah, the difference, really lies in the maceration period. They are not the same to me. Even when I spray them side by side, I get about 80% resemblance, with both fragrances taking different directions altogether. And that has been my experience with Khamrah Qawah. I think it has become much more of that spicy ginger to me, coupled with the less of the date as compared to what I get, the date I get in the OG Khamrah. I feel they are different. They are not the same. You can own both, they will both serve like different purposes. You can even layer them together to create something much more beautiful. So that is going to be my updates on Khamrah Qawah. Ramz Gold is a fragrance I featured in one of my Life After Maceration series about 3 months ago, but I felt the need to give an update because this fragrance hasn't remained the same even after that Life After Maceration video. Initially, it wasn't the best of fragrances to me. If you have watched any of my fragrances, I have not highly praised this fragrance. I felt like it was quite difficult to wear. It is a quintessential Middle Eastern fruity fragrance with a heavy dose of patchouli and some apple and pineapple, you know, quite spicy, but it has a very prominent Middle Eastern touch to it, especially when you get it within the first month. It doesn't come across as, you know, very mass appealing Western sort of, you know, designer feel. It comes across as strongly Middle Eastern style fragrance. And that was what it was for the first 4-5 months to me. Even currently, I still get that Middle Eastern fruity patchouli vibe. However, this has gotten so much better, so much smoother. You know, it's not the best. Initially, when you spray this one, you might be a little thrown off, you might be turned off because it is quite polarizing. You know, it comes across as quite a little too intense with the, you know, a messy sort of patchouli combined with the fruit, which was not blended well. This has been about 7 or 8 months in my collection at this point, you know, and as at now, currently, if you ask me, I would say you can go for Ramz Gold, you know, but, you know, with a bit of caution. It is still not the most mass appealing fragrance. So if you're looking for something quite mass appealing, this might not be it. However, I will give it to it for the fact that it's been really, you know, improving. It has transformed. From the beginning, it had a smoky touch to it. You know, it felt like smoked pineapples with some, you know, baked apples, you know, coupled with that patchouli. That is how it felt to me. There was something smoky, quite earthy, quite of a dirty patchouli, you know, like a very dirty patchouli touch to it. But the patchouli has smoothened out. It has become much more likable, much more wearable. I still don't think it's a safe blind buy fragrance, but has it improved? Has it become smoother? Has it become better in the span of 6-7 months? It definitely has improved. It is quite a unique fragrance. It is not like very simple. It is quite complicated. So if you are looking for a fruity fragrance with a, you know, a bit of a kick to it, then I would say you can, you know, check out Ramz Gold by Lattafa. This is my second bottle of Berries Weekend by Fragrance World. It is a quintessential girly, sweet, cotton candy, berries, you know, fragrance, very mass appealing. It doesn't have any Middle Eastern twist to it. I'm not too sure what this one is duping, you know. I think some time ago someone mentioned it, but I didn't really take or pay much of an attention. However, it gives me a very Western vibes. It is very smooth. It doesn't have to go through any process of maceration. It's one of those grab and go fragrances. It's already been macerated for us. It is so smooth, very gentle, very mass appealing. It has a Western designer, you know, type vibe to it. It feels like those very girly La Vie Belle, Flower Bomb, very sweet, very designer-esque, you know, type fragrances with a touch of berries. It doesn't have to go through any maceration process. It is very smooth from the onset, you know, and it's very, very affordable too, you know. For this fragrance, it's like a 10/10. If you are looking for something affordable, that is not going to be scratchy or screechy, that is not going to be offensive, that is going to give you compliments, I would highly recommend that you check Berries Weekend by Fragrance World out. The next fragrance on this list is going to be Bint Hooran by Zaafaran. I didn't have any issue from the beginning. There was nothing rough about it. It doesn't really necessarily need any process of maceration. What it lacked was the performance, you know, the longevity, the staying power. That was my issue with this fragrance. It has not necessarily improved that much, you know. I still sort of feel like it has performance issues. It will not give you like a full day's where you need to be topping up, you know. However, when it comes to the juice itself, it is very well done, very well blended. It gives you the Good Girl by Carolina Herrera, you know, vibes. It gives you like that 100%, you know, for like a fraction of the price, as we always say. It didn't come in, you know, screechy. It didn't come in not well blended. It came in beautifully, you know, blended. But my issue with this fragrance was the potency or the performance. However, I still feel it lacks that, you know. I wouldn't say as compared to other fragrances, you know, it's still a very moderate, you know, projection, moderate lasting power. Let's say 4 hours, after which I need to, personally to me, after which I need to top up it will not last me like a full work day, which is about 8 to 10 hours. I don't think so. However, I personally do not find anything worrying when I'm topping up my fragrances. So I would say it will not give you the 8 hours or 10 hours you might be looking for, but it's going to give you a very smooth, beautiful, girly fragrance, you know, very sensual. It doesn't come across to me as ultra sexy, but it has this sensuality about it, you know. It's very smooth, you know. I don't think there will ever be a day where I would say Bint Hooran is going to be beast mode, room filling, super ultra, you know, beastly. But I think it has like a very moderate, you know, projection. It just moderate, you know. You can always overspray. Even if you overspray, it will not choke anyone out. So that is going to be my update on Bint Hooran by Zaafaran. On Fragrantica, I have seen Madawi by Arabian Oud being compared to Ramz Gold. I don't think they smell alike, but there is some similarity somewhere, and that is what I want to bring out, you know. What I find similar about these fragrances is the fact that they give off like Middle Eastern patchouli, you know. They are both Middle Eastern type Oriental patchouli fruity fragrances. That is what they have in common, you know. This one has patchouli, some pineapple blossom, and a heavy dose of peach. And I think what people find similar between this and that is the fact that they are both fruit chili fragrances, you know. They are sort of give you the same sort of feel, but they are not the same fragrances at all. The fact that they are both fruit chili fragrances is where they are the most similar. Aside that, they are totally different fragrances altogether. However, when I got this fragrance, it gave me a quintessential Middle Eastern oudi sort of, you know, vibe. Although it doesn't have the note of oud, I still get that Middle Eastern nuance in it. However, from the first day I smelled this till this day, I think that sort of Middle Eastern touch, you know, has taken a step back. It now feels like something that a Western nose will appreciate so much more. It's dialed back on the patchouli. The patchouli is not as heavy as when I initially got it. You know, I think the patchouli was quite earthy, and you know, it make it seem like more Middle Eastern oudi, you know, type to me. However, after about 5 months of having Madawi, it has dialed back considerably. It's not as pineapple heavy as the Madawi Gold, you know. That one is much more pineapple heavy, but this one is peach, you know, heavy. It's like more of the peach, gets a hint of the pineapple blossom, you know, dancing around it, and that patchouli. However, the patchouli has really dialed back. It has really smoothened out. It has become something which I feel a lot of Western trained noses will appreciate so much better as compared to, let's say, even the Ramz Gold. I guess feel like the Ramz Gold has like a more Middle Eastern touch to it, while this one is sort of, you know, dialing back. And I also get something like a prominent white champagne vibes to this, you know. It is not sparkling at all. It doesn't give me anything sparkling vibes. I don't know where that is coming from, but I get it. I get it really, you know, that prominent in this one. It is quite unique. It is not like your everyday fruity fragrance. It's a fruit chili, and fruit chili somehow are quite not the most mass appealing fruity fragrances I have come across. I used to get that sort of oudi nuance, but I don't get it at all in this one at all. There was a slight animalic touch to it that I could get from the onset. I don't get it anymore. That is to say, Madawi might come across as quite complicated when you initially get it. However, that complexity is very beautiful. It is quite unique, and that is what gives it the edge over other fruity fragrances I have come across. So that is going to be my update on Madawi by Arabian Oud. I personally didn't have any issue with Teriaq when I initially got it. It came in already smooth. You could feel that it had been allowed to macerate or sit for a while. It didn't come in harsh, it didn't come in rough. It came in quite blended well. What stood out to me was that sort of smoky leathery note coupled with the caramel and then the apricot. It has not really changed that much, honestly. It wasn't a bad fragrance to begin with at all. After about 2 months in my collection, what I have noticed is that suede-like leathery smoky accord has dialed back, you know, as compared to when I initially got it. I was expecting it to get much more intense, but somehow I feel like it has dialed back. I now get a prominent caramel. The caramel got so much stronger, whilst the leather in this one sort of, you know, have taken a second seat to me, but it's still very present in it, you know, especially when it comes to the dry down. I also get that apricot so much more. The apricot has become so much intense. There are some carpenters working outside, so if you hear any noise, just bear with me, please. I remember comparing Teriaq to Jessica Simpson's Fancy. I still get that almondy, apricot, vanilla vibes of Fancy in this one. You know, the only thing that is quite different is the fact that this one takes a smoky, leathery accord or note, whilst that one is basically a fruity fragrance, you know, fruity vanillic fragrance. Aside the suede or that leathery note taking like a step back, every other note in this one has become stronger. The caramel has, you know, become stronger. The honey, I get it so much more. The almond, you know, I also get it, but it's like a slightly bitter almond. You know, that is a vibe I get in this one. The vanilla, not so much. It's not like the quintessential vanillic fragrance. It is much more of that caramel, suede, apricot, you know, vibes. I get everything in the right proportion, but I guess for like the suede has sort of, you know, taken a step back, while the caramel and the apricot is now shining, and they have become much more intense. The fragrance itself has not really changed that much. I guess for like the intensity, the potency, you know, has just gotten so much better, and it wasn't even bad at all to begin with. And that has been my experience or updates with Teriaq by Lattafa. The next one I have here is not a Middle Eastern fragrance, but I felt the need to add this to this list because this fragrance has really changed, you know, from when I initially got it. I was sort of preconditioned to receive this one as very animalic and very polarizing, but when I picked up Cabotine de Gres, it was, you know, probably because I was sort of conditioned to receive it as such. However, it's been over a year in my collection, and that is the more reason why I wanted to discuss it here. This has been so smooth, you know, it's nothing like what it's been portrayed to be. People make it feel like it is very unwearable, very 80s or 90s sort of feel, very vintagey, very sort of old school or dated. It doesn't feel like that to me at all, especially after having it for about a year and a half. This has become so much sweeter. Of course, I still get that civet or animalic vibe in this one. However, what has really turned this one around for me is the fact that I get much more of that very whimsical, sort of, you know, airy florals. You know, there's something airy, elegant, you know, about this. It doesn't feel heavy. I thought it was going to feel so much heavier after maceration, but somehow it's gotten so much airier. It's one of those fragrances you would want to wear to, let's say, a garden wedding, something quite intimate, quite, you know, green scenery around to sort of go with the whole thing. It gives me something very elegant, you know. To me, it's not as polarizing as it was made to be. When I initially got this fragrance, I could detect that animalic civet, you know, vibe to it, and a heavy dose of those sort of old school carnation florals. I could get that. But after more than 1 year, this fragrance has become much more airy, so much softer, you know. Somehow it has moved from being that loud. I think my bottle is also the EDT, not the EDP. I don't know the differences between the EDP and the EDT. However, it is not super animalic, and you know, I've fallen so much in love with this fragrance for the fact that it didn't turn out to be what I was expecting. I was expecting this one to be so much animalic, or much more animalic, much more of that old school vibes. But after a year and a half, it's sort of become much more airy, less intense, you know, less intense and much more sweeter. It now feels like a very fresh, sweet, airy floral fragrance to me. It is very beautiful, very elegant, and it will make you stand out from the crowd. No joke, you know. If you really want to be that elegant lady, I would just say try this one, you know, just check it out because it is also very affordable. And the last fragrance I have here is also a fragrance I expected something more intense, something more thicker, richer, denser. However, it didn't. It actually didn't, and this is going to be Soleil de Ombre Jacques used by Fragrance World. It was marketed as a dupe for Louis Vuitton Ombre leather or Ombre Nomade, but you know, it is not, you know, close to it at all. After trying the original Ombre Nomade, I still believe Fragrance World took inspiration from that fragrance because you get a heavy dose of raspberry and, you know, oud, and that is what essentially the original version is. This one I thought was going to get extra polarizing or extra strong, you know, because it has the oud, you know, and the oud in this one feels slightly bitter. It's not like a very sweet oud, you know, like that oud mood oud. It doesn't come across as those sort of oud, sweet ouds to me. It is quite a bitter one. It feels like a heavy dose of woods in this one as well. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know the note structure for this, but I get something like mahogany, you know, like a very heavy mahogany, bitter sort of, you know, aftertaste vibe in this one. And I was expecting this one to really dip in and become much more masculine leaning scent, but it did not at all. It is very unisex in my opinion. The raspberry has become much more intense. I get a very, intense dose of the raspberry, but it's not like the very realistic, delicious gourmand raspberry, but you still get that, raspberry vibes. What really surprised me was the fact that I was expecting this one to get so much darker, so much intense, much more masculine leaning, but it did not. On the other hand, it has sort of maintained what it was from the initial start. I have also noticed that the staying power has also improved. It used not to last so well on me, but now I can just easily get about 8 to 10 hours, just easily 8 to 10 hours if you sort of overspray. Initially it was about 3 hours to me, I could barely get it through the day, but now when I overspray I sort of get about 8 to 10 hours, which to me is fabulous because I love the scent profile. It is like a very sexy sort of masculine leaning yet very unisex scent. It didn't really change that much in terms of scent profile because I was expecting it to get deeper and richer and intense, but it did not. The juice itself was not bad at all to begin with. That's what I'm saying. It hasn't changed that much. I didn't get anything rough about it. For the price that Fragrance World sell their products, I wonder how they do it, but it wasn't rough at all. It was smooth. It's like a very well blended fragrance. That can be sold for like 3-4 times the price and people will still go for it. If it's like in a niche bottle, trust me, a lot of people will be raving about Soleil de Ombre Jacques. That is how good this fragrance is. It's one of my favorite fragrances when it comes to Middle Eastern type, Oriental, woody sort of vibes. A very unique fragrance, and that will be my update on Soleil de Ombre Jacques by Fragrance World. That is all I have for you today, and I hope this video found you well. I would love to know your experiences about your fragrances, how they have turned out to be, whether good, bad, or remain the same. I would love to know, so please share them with me as you always do. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in my next one. Take care. Bye bye.